Okay, welcome everybody. Um, I thought that given everything that's happening and what we're all kind of dealing with on a much larger scale in our society, that it might be helpful to do a bit of a guided meditation. And this isn't something I've done before. I know some of you have asked for this or suggested that I do this, and I'm taking your suggestion. So I'm going to give it a shot and see how it sits with everybody. So I'm going to try to do this in one take. We'll see if that works. If not, there might be some edits. We'll see how it goes. So let's get started. I'm going to jump right into it. So I will give you a moment to get into a comfortable position. You can be seated, you can be lying down, reclining, whatever works for you. I think the most important thing is that your body feels comfortable and that you're not putting yourself into a position of stress or tension. Lots of people think that meditation should be done sitting upright with a straight back and legs crossed and all that, and I don't really subscribe to that. I think that the most important thing is that you're comfortable and in a position where you can be present. So go ahead and get into that position. You can pause this if you need a little bit more time. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed or whatever suits you. Again, I think it's really up to you. I think for myself, I find that when I close my eyes, sometimes it's easier for me to focus internally, to shift my attention from the external to the internal. Some people can do that with their eyes open, so whatever works for you is perfectly acceptable here. And I want to take a moment and just invite everybody to notice as we arrive in this space together, as we start to shift our focus from the external to the internal. Notice what's present for you as we arrive in this space together. Notice if it's challenging to slow down. Notice if it feels natural to want to slow down, or if there are parts of you that don't want to slow down. All of those things are welcome here. All experience, sensation, thought, emotion, everything is welcome here in this space without judgment. All of these things are part of the human condition. All of these things are a natural part of being here on this planet as a human, and they're all welcome. So take a moment, close your eyes or not, and just notice. And I want to direct your attention slowly to the breath, to your breath. There's no need to change it. No need to try to control it or get it to be a certain way. Just notice. Notice if it has a shape, a pace, a depth. Maybe it's shallow. Whatever it is perfectly acceptable. The invitation is just to notice the breath. to take a few moments here to just notice. Notice if it's more present in your belly, in your chest. What does it feel like as the air moves through your nostrils into your lungs? Notice the pause at the top of the breath and the inhale, and at the bottom of the exhale. And as we sit with this breath and notice this experience, I invite you to see if there's anything you can do in your position of your body to just get even slightly more comfortable. If you're sitting, maybe an adjustment to your leg, maybe it's an adjustment to your spine or your back if you're lying down, where your arms are resting. If there's anything that your body wants to do to get a little bit more comfortable, feel into that and give yourself that. And notice and allow gravity to sink slightly deeper into the points of contact, and notice the point of contact with your feet on the floor or your back against whatever it's leaning on and supported by, your seat in a chair. Notice these points of contact. Notice the sense of gravity, the pressure, the support. Notice how supported you are at each of these points. And as we sit with our breath, I invite you to notice any sensations that are present in the body. It can be a sensation of tension, can be softness, pressure, coolness or warmth on the surface of the skin. Maybe your skin is touching a piece of fabric. What does that feel like? It can be a warmth in your chest and abdomen. Any sensation that you notice without judgment. Just become aware of the sensations that are present. And just take a few moments and allow some space for those sensations to arise in our awareness. And for me, I'll give you some examples. I notice some pressure behind my eyes. I notice the moisture of my eyes. I notice tightness in my jaw and pressure where my seat sits on the sofa. My fingers feel cool. I feel softness in my belly. I feel tension in my neck and shoulders. Anything that arises, just notice. And as you're noticing these sensations, do any of them stand out? Do any of them seem stronger than the others? Do any of them feel like they want more of your attention? And if so, see if you can deepen your connection with that sensation that's wanting more attention, and be present with what that feels like. And see if you can sink further into this sensation that wants your attention, almost as though you're attuning to that sensation, letting it know that it's okay to be here, that it's accepted, it's allowed to have its voice, it's allowed to be here. And there may be more than one. And if that's true, you can shift from one after giving it some attention and spending some time with it. You can move to another sensation and deepen that and be with that. And notice, as you're doing this, notice, does it change? Does it shift? Does it intensify? Does it lessen in its intensity? All of those things are welcome. And if at any point it becomes overwhelming or starts to feel too intense, you can shift away from that to something that feels more pleasant, a sensation that feels good. And when you shift to something that feels pleasant or good, I invite you to sit with that and allow that experience to deepen, to have its existence, and notice what it feels like. Notice the pleasure of that sensation. And as we've become more present with our breath and with the sensations that we're experiencing in our bodies, I invite you to notice what emotions are present. Do you experience joy, grief, anger, gratitude, love, connection, curiosity. I'm going to take a few moments and allow for you to notice what's present in you. And again, I want to state that all emotions are welcome here. There are no good or bad emotions. Everything is welcome. So take a few minutes and notice what's present for you. And it's okay, as you explore these emotions, to have very different emotions present at the same time. As humans, we are capable of holding different emotions, such as anger and joy or sadness. These experiences of these emotions can be all present at the same time. We're capable of having these experiences simultaneously. And it's okay for them to exist simultaneously. So see if you can allow that if you're experiencing joy or gratitude, notice if there's also sadness or loneliness or anxiety. And know that it's okay for these to coexist. As you notice these emotions, I invite you to notice if they show up in a specific part of your body. Where do these emotions show up? Where do you notice them? And what does that feel like? Is there a specific place in your body that you notice gratitude? What does that experience feel like? And how do you know that you're having an experience of gratitude? Or grief and sadness? How do you know that you're feeling grief and sadness? Where does that show up for you? And tune into those places in your body and notice how those emotions manifest as physical sensations in your body. As we reconnect with ourselves, with our internal world, the intimacy with self, with being with oneself, can be increased by not only noticing what emotions are present, but noticing how these emotions show up in the body and sitting with those sensations and developing a familiarity with those sensations and those emotions of landing in the body. So I want to take a few minutes and allow some space for that. give you an example. I notice an anxiety that's present in my chest, and it feels like a low vibration, a tightness, a kind of stuck energy, this nervous energy of anxiety just kind of vibrating in my chest. That's an example of how I experience that emotion, that feeling. And that anxiety, really what's under that anxiety is fear. So what I'm really experiencing is fear that's stuck in my chest. And if you feel the impulse to move your body, or like I'm doing, put a hand on that part of your body that's experiencing that emotion, please do that. The body is incredibly wise and intelligent, and if you feel an impulse to shake part of your body or stretch something or move as you're going through this exercise, I invite you to do that. It's a natural, very natural thing to pay attention to and to honor. And as you notice these parts of your body where these emotions reside, you can ask yourself, is there anything that part of you wants or needs? Or is there an impulse, like I said, to move, or to flex a muscle or stretch or take a deeper breath? And I invite you at this point to come back to your breath and notice if anything has changed. Notice again the shape, the frequency, the depth. Notice if anything has changed. Notice if there's a part of you that feels resistant to any of these emotions or sensations in your body. And if you notice any resistance, see if you can just be in that experience of resistance. It's okay to feel resistant. We all feel that. Just sit in that experience of resistance and notice what that feels like. There is no right way to feel. There is no right emotion to feel. And there is no need to try to control the experience we're having right now. The goal is just to become aware and to feel the sensations in the body of the experience we're having. And it's important while doing this process to make sure that we're not getting overwhelmed with the experience we're feeling. If something becomes overwhelming or starts to feel like it's too much, then I encourage you to return to a sensation that feels pleasant, or open your eyes and look around the room, or feel your feet on the ground, squeeze your hands, come back to something that feels tolerable, because we don't want to overwhelm our system in this experience. Next, I would like to invite you to notice the thoughts that are coming and going throughout this process. Thoughts continue to come and they continue to go. They have their own way, their own flow. And our thoughts can often point us to what state our nervous system is in at any given moment. So I invite you to notice the thoughts that come and to be an observer. Notice if you're having judgments or your thoughts are pleasant, or if you're having thoughts that you don't have time for this. If your thoughts are, I gotta get up and do something, can mean you're in a sympathetic state. If your thoughts are, I can't, I'm not doing this right, this is hopeless, that can mean your system is in a dorsal state, feeling shut down. Or if your thoughts are curious and pleasant and enjoyable, that can mean you're in a ventral state. You can be anywhere on the spectrum in your nervous system. Just notice the thoughts without judgment. Notice how they come and they show up, and then they fade away, and then another one comes. And as you do this, continue to stay in touch with the physical sensation of your body and your breath, your feet on the floor, what's in your environment. I hear a dog barking. I notice the thought, why is that dog barking while I'm recording a meditation? It's what's here, it's what's happening. Stay with the breath. And if your thoughts start to carry you away and you get swept up in them and come out of your body, that's okay, that's normal. When you notice that, see if you can return back into the physical sensation, connect with your breath. Notice the points of contact of your body with your seat or your feet on the floor. What does that feel like? Come back into your body, into your experience. Into your presence. And as we start to conclude our time together, I would like to invite you to take 3 deep breaths with me. And these can be however you want them to be. I like to take deep breaths. My breathing is very slow, but however your breath shows up for you is fine. So I'm going to allow some space to take 3 deep breaths together. invite you to gently open your eyes when you feel ready and come back to the space and the environment that you're in. And one way that I like to conclude a meditation or a check-in like this is to do what's called orientation. Orientation is a really powerful nervous system regulation technique. And the way orientation works is that you start to let your eyes kind of wander and look around the space that you're in and notice the things in your environment. And orientation is a way, we're such visual beings, so it's a way to bring input into your nervous system, showing your system that you're in a safe environment, that you're in a familiar environment. So I want to give you a couple of seconds to orient and just allow your head to move around, allow your eyes to look around your space and notice if there's anything that draws your attention that seems pleasant, or maybe there's an object nearby that you can pick up and really examine and look at and get curious about and help bring your system into the awareness of your environment and the safety that's here. So let's take a few minutes and orient to our spaces together. I hope that was helpful. And take a few moments, notice how you're feeling, notice if anything's changed. I feel more grounded. I feel more grounded in my seat. My body feels softer, more at ease. I notice the tension in my jaw and face is less. I feel more aware of my environment and what's pleasant about my environment. My breath feels easier, deeper. My neck and shoulders feel softer. Just notice if anything's changed for you. And as you're noticing, it's really important that even the slightest, smallest amount of change is enormous. It's huge. When we're talking about nervous system regulation, the experience in the body, the slightest change is an enormous shift. So keep that in mind. This isn't about returning to some place of Zen where everything's great and I feel happy and joyful and free. It's not about that. It's about taking time to be with what's present, to allow feelings to live, to exist, to attune to those feelings, to allow them to be here, and noticing if anything shifts. And if it doesn't, that's fine too, because you took the time to be with those emotions and to be with those sensations, and that's really what matters the most. And you can use that orientation exercise anytime, anywhere. It's a really powerful one. If you find yourself getting stressed out, getting anxious, if you find yourself looking at your phone and taking in information that's stressful, there's a lot of that right now. Notice what that feels like in your body and allow yourself to have a moment where you orient to your space, where you expand your vision, you look around, you feel something tactile. Maybe it's the fabric of your jeans or your shirt. Or if you have a pet nearby, notice what it feels like to pet them and to feel their fur and their warmth. There's lots and lots of resources we can use to ground and come back into ourselves and to kind of stop that runaway train of anxiety and fear. And I think it's really important to practice that. And you can practice that too when you're not having those experiences. You can be having a very pleasant experience and also do orientation and notice what that's like. And I had the thought that I was trying to think like what else could be helpful right now. And another thing that came to mind was another regulating resource, another regulating exercise that many of you might have seen if you're familiar with Peter Levine, who's the founder of somatic experiencing. He uses this one a lot, and it's called the VU breath. Some people call it the foghorn. And the idea is that you take in a deep breath and you exhale and you make a sound that sounds like the deepest foghorn sound you can make. And the idea is to feel the vibration of this sound in your belly. And if you can't feel it in your belly, you might feel it in your chest or in your throat. Imagine that it's happening in your belly. And the process is to take in a deep breath, do this sound on the exhale, take in another deep breath, and to do it 3 times. So the first step, I'll do it for you, I'll demonstrate it. The first step is to notice, kind of similar to what we did just now, notice what's present in your body, notice what you're experiencing. Just take a kind of moment to check in with yourself. What physical sensations are present, what emotions are present, what nervous system state might you be in. And then do this exercise. And then as it completes, notice what sensations are present. Notice what shifts, if anything. Notice if there's a change. I almost always notice a change when I do this. But I'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to move the microphone away a little bit because I don't want to blast the audio. But I will do this 3 times. But first, I'll demonstrate the check-in. This check-in is something that I mentioned in one of my other posts, that I'm in a men's group that meets frequently. And we always do a check-in like this in the beginning, very quick, like a minute long. Every man checks in and reports what sensations they're feeling in their body and what emotions are present. And one of the instructions or guides or suggestions in doing this is to not use qualifiers. We have a lot of habitual patterns in our society. Like if somebody's reporting that they feel a certain sensation or feeling, we'll say, oh, I'm a little bit this, or I feel a little that. And it can minimize the experience and the experience of owning and really stating and standing in the emotion or the sensation. So the invitation is to do this without those qualifiers and just notice how that feels. So it looks something like this. I feel wetness in my eyes. I feel coolness in my fingers and toes. tension in my shoulders, tension in my jaw and my cheeks, vibration in my hands and arms, softness in my belly. Emotionally, I feel fear, grief, anger, gratitude, connection, and love. So that's an example of a check-in. And I invite you to do that before doing this VU breath, just to see what's present for you. It's not necessary, it's not mandatory, but it's helpful for me to do it before and after and see what's shifted, at least the physical part. And if you have a partner or a friend, it can be really attuning and helpful to just do that as a practice with one another. It's a way of connecting, a way of co-regulating. Co-regulation is such a powerful thing for our nervous systems. It's something we need as human beings to survive, is co-regulation. It's critical. So it's a really powerful exercise to do with another person. And as that person is doing their check-in and sharing with you what they're experiencing, notice how it impacts you. Notice how what happens in yourself as you're witnessing them and listening to them. I can do a whole other episode on co-regulation. It's such a powerful thing. And such a necessary thing as social creatures. So, all right, back to the VU breath. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I will pull the microphone back and let you know how it impacts me. That's the VU breath. What I notice is energy kind of pulsating in my chest and moving out through my shoulders and down my arms into my hands. I notice energy in my face kind of just moving and flowing out towards my ears. My belly feels soft. I could feel the vibration there. My breath feels much deeper. that's an exercise you can also do anywhere. I remember listening to Peter Levine talk about being in line at the grocery store, and you don't have to make that full sound. You can just kind of hum or create that vibration. Really powerful exercise. And it helps no matter what nervous system state you're in. It really helps to kind of ground your body and to kind of bring you back into your body, into a present state, and heighten your awareness. So, yeah, I thought I would share that. And I guess in closing, I think what I would like to say is there's a lot going on right now. It's very easy to get swept away with fear and anxiety and the future and the unknown. There's a lot of unknown right now, a lot of uncertainty, and that's okay. That's reality. I think it's important to acknowledge our emotions, acknowledge what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, to increase our capacity to feel the things that are present for us. I think what happens a lot, especially on social media, is that people will see something that's triggering to them and maybe puts them into a flight response or a fight response. And rather than being able to sit with the fear or the uncertainty or the anxiety because it feels so intense, there's an impulse to avoid that emotion and skip right over that and lash out and try to find a way to express that in an unhealthy way. And I think the more each of us works to counteract that and increases our own capacity to feel our emotions, to sit with our emotions, to tolerate especially uncomfortable emotions and difficult emotions, the better off we're going to be. We have to kind of, I believe we have to work to kind of clean up our own house first before we can go out into the world and be effective at changing something external to us. So I just want to invite you to practice. And, it's really, really powerful if you have someone in your life that is interested or willing to practice with them. Practice, just say, hey, let's do a check-in, let's take 10 minutes, spend 5 minutes allowing them to share their experience, focusing on their emotions, their sensations, what's present for them. Hold space for that. Don't try to fix it. You don't have to change it. Just witness and be present and really feel how what they're sharing impacts you. And then for the next 5 minutes, you can do the opposite. And it's okay to share. It's an interesting experiment to share when they're done expressing what their experience is, to say, yeah, when you shared with me that you were feeling a lot of fear and anxiety, I could feel that in my chest. I could feel the impact of that. Like, share how what their experience is impacts you. And even if you don't share it, just try to notice. Or as you said that, I wanted to kind of pull away and shut down because it felt too intense to me, or whatever's present. This is about expressing what's here, what's authentic, being witnessed and witnessing that in another. And that's such a powerful experience of co-regulation, because you're sending your nervous system a message that you're not alone, that you're not this lone wolf trying to survive on your own. You have support, you have connection. And even if you want to just turn on this video and watch this video and notice how you're impacted by watching it, or in the pauses, you can share what's happening with you and imagine someone witnessing that and taking that in. It can be a really powerful experience. So I want to invite you to just practice being present, practice being in your body for however long is tolerable, doesn't matter. And if you have the ability, practice with someone else and just notice what that experience is like. And You can report in the comments of this how this impacted you, and you can speak about your experience openly and freely. And then you can read other people's comments about how it impacted them and what they're experiencing. And I just want to create some space here for us to authentically share what we're experiencing in this time, because there's a lot going on, and I feel like we can really support one another. So thank you for spending this time with me. I hope it was helpful. Any suggestions or feedback you have, it's all welcome, and really grateful to have you all here. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And the more we can be together, the more we can support one another, I think the better off we're all going to be. So thank you. Appreciate it.